4 game-winning shots, 4 consecutive playoff rounds, historic clutch performances that even Michael Jordan never achieved. Then Tyrese Haliburton limped away from his Game 2 press conference, and suddenly social media exploded with a very different conversation. Some fans worried, when will the pain end? Others were skeptical, pretending to create an excuse for his embarrassing performance. One fan joked, sacrificing a pint of blood for his leg health right now. This is the Tyrese Haliburton conundrum, and it perfectly captures how we struggle to understand what success actually looks like in modern sports.
What we're witnessing with Haliburton isn't just about basketball, it's about our fundamental confusion around what makes someone successful. He was recently voted most overrated player by his own NBA peers, yet he's having potentially the greatest clutch playoff run in NBA history. The disconnect between perception and performance reveals something deeper about how we evaluate talent.
Haliburton represents a new kind of star that challenges traditional expectations. He averaged just 18.6 points per game, the second lowest of any All-NBA player. His shooting form has always been criticized. He doesn't play above the rim or have that healthy swagger we expect. Yet his efficiency rating has been above 20 for 4 straight seasons, and he's shooting 86.7% on clutch shots this year, the best percentage since tracking began in 1996.
Today we're examining the Tyrese Haliburton conundrum, how a player can be simultaneously overrated and underrated, how success can look like failure and failure can look like success, and why that video of him limping away from his press conference tells us everything about the pressure modern athletes face to be superhuman, even when they're literally breaking down. Let's start with the contradiction that is Tyrese Haliburton's 2025 season. In April, an anonymous poll of NBA players voted him the league's most overrated player. Just 2 months later, he's leading the Indiana Pacers to their first NBA Finals in 25 years with a series of clutch shots that has rewritten the record books.
The overrated label reveals how we misunderstand modern point guard play. Haliburton had a usage rate of just 21.6% this season, tied for 82nd among all qualified players. He doesn't dominate the ball or demand constant attention. Instead, he makes everyone around him better through what he calls an ecosystem approach to basketball.
The numbers tell the story. Since entering the league in 2020, Haliburton has made 5 game-winning or game-tying shots in the final 5 seconds of playoff games. Only LeBron James has more with 8, but James has had 22 seasons to accumulate those moments. Haliburton has done this in just his second playoff run.
But here's where the story gets complicated. After his Game 1 heroics, a buzzer beater that gave the Pacers their first lead of the game with 0.3 seconds left, came Game 2. 17 points, 6 assists, but most coming in garbage time. The Thunder held him to just 3 points in the first half. And then, the video that has everyone talking.
Tyrese Haliburton with a noticeable slight limp arriving and leaving his press conference.
That video crystallizes the impossible expectations we place on athletes. Some fans immediately worried about his health. This is their hero, the player who's been carrying them through miracle comebacks. Others became skeptical, wondering if he was pretending to create an excuse for his embarrassing performance. Both reactions reveal our discomfort with athletic vulnerability.
The social media reaction was immediate and divided. "When will the pain end?" wrote one distraught Pacers fan. Lou Dort probably did this, accused another, pointing to the Thunder's physical defense. But perhaps most telling was the fan who wrote, "Sacrificing a pint of blood for his leg health right now, treating him like some sort of magical being rather than a human athlete."
What's fascinating is how this limp controversy intersects with broader criticisms of Haliburton's game. His unorthodox shooting form, his preference for passing over scoring, his measured approach to stardom, these all challenge traditional basketball aesthetics. As he said recently, "The way our game is now, the way the game is digested by fans sometimes, I think it's a lot of box score watchers."
My jumper, the way it looks, has always been criticized coming into the NBA. I think sometimes I have an effect on the game that isn't necessarily the gaudy box score numbers. So if my box score doesn't look the way that it's supposed to, I think that can be a part of it as well.
This quote gets to the heart of the conundrum. In an era where highlights drive narratives and social media demands immediate gratification, Haliburton represents something different: effectiveness over aesthetics, team success over individual glory. But that approach makes him harder to market, harder to understand, easier to dismiss.
Consider the psychological pressure this creates. Haliburton has spoken openly about not wanting to come to work early this season because of the expectations and criticism. He's dealing with Olympic snubs, peer dismissal, and now injury concerns. all while being expected to deliver miracles on basketball's biggest stage.
Coming in with so much expectations from myself, from the public, and then having such a terrible start to the year and feeling like there's all this pressure on me. Early in the year, I didn't even want to come to work.
What makes this story compelling is how Haliburton has used that criticism as fuel. After being voted overrated, he's responded with historic performances. After barely playing in the Olympics, he's become the most clutch playoff performer in recent memory. The narrative of redemption resonates because it's authentic.
But then comes the question that's dividing fans and analysts. Can the Pacers actually win a championship with Haliburton playing his own game? After Game 2's loss, critics emerged demanding he step up and shoot more, attack more, and magically transform himself into some sort of Kobe Bryant clone.
There's a lot more to the game than just scoring. People shouldn't just look at points and assists and judge how he played or judge how any of our guys played just on that. That's not how our team is built. We are an ecosystem that has to function together.
Carlisle's ecosystem comment is crucial. It represents a different philosophy of basketball success, one that prioritizes collective achievement over individual dominance. But this approach faces constant pressure from media and fans who want traditional star narratives.
The Thunder exposed some of these tensions in Game 2. Their swarming defense made Haliburton feel like there's 5 guys around every time we're in the paint. They forced him away from his natural game, and the Pacers' offense stagnated. It raises legitimate questions about sustainability.
It feels like there's 5 guys around every time we're in the paint. They're a team that really takes away the paint, does a great job of swarming the ball.
This is where the conundrum becomes most apparent. Haliburton's greatest strength, making others better through unselfish play, can become a weakness when he's the primary focus of elite defenses. The question isn't whether he's talented enough, but whether his style of excellence can overcome systematic efforts to neutralize it.
And then there's the physical toll. That limp after Game 2 wasn't just about potential injury. It was a visual representation of the cost of being a different kind of star. Haliburton doesn't have the physical dominance of a LeBron or the pure scoring ability of a Durant. He has to work harder, think faster, and absorb more punishment to achieve the same results.
The fan reactions to his limp reveal our conflicted relationship with athletic vulnerability. We want our heroes to be superhuman, but we also want them to be relatable. We celebrate toughness, but we worry about long-term health. Haliburton's situation forces us to confront these contradictions.
What's remarkable is how Haliburton has navigated these pressures. From Olympic bench player to finals hero, from overrated to record-breaking clutch performer. His journey represents something larger about second chances, about different definitions of success, about the courage to be yourself in a world demanding conformity.
The Pacers' success with Haliburton challenges fundamental assumptions about how teams should be built. They're in the finals not despite his unorthodox approach, but because of it. They've won games they had no business winning, because they refuse to play like everyone else expects them to.
But there's also a fragility to this success that the limp symbolizes. It depends on health, on chemistry, on opponents not figuring out how to systematically disrupt their flow. Game 2 showed what happens when that ecosystem breaks down, when the facilitator can't facilitate, when the unselfish star is forced into selfish situations.
This fragility is what makes the criticism so harsh and the support so passionate. Fans understand intuitively that this might be temporary, that players like Haliburton are rarer and more vulnerable than traditional superstars. There's an urgency to either protect him or expose him before the window closes.
Looking ahead to Game 3, the stakes couldn't be higher. Can Haliburton recover physically and mentally from Game 2? Can the Pacers prove their system works against elite competition? Or will this become another story of a unique talent that couldn't quite reach the summit?
Whatever happens, Haliburton has already changed the conversation about what modern point guard excellence looks like. He's shown that you don't need to be the loudest voice in the room to be the most important. You don't need perfect form to make perfect shots. You don't need to dominate to lead.
The Tyrese Haliburton conundrum isn't really about basketball. It's about our struggle to recognize and celebrate different forms of excellence. It's about the price of being different, the cost of caring more about winning than individual glory, and the courage required to keep being yourself when the world wants you to be someone else.
What we're witnessing with Haliburton is a real-time case study in modern athletic pressure. The constant evaluation, the social media reactions, the expectation to be superhuman while remaining relatable. His limp after Game 2 humanized him in a way that made some fans love him more and others trust him less.
The most important thing about Haliburton's story is what it teaches us about giving people second chances, about looking beyond surface-level metrics, about understanding that sometimes the most valuable contributions are the hardest to measure. Whether he wins this championship or not, he's already proven that there's more than one way to be great.
Thank you to Dr. Marcus Rodriguez and Sarah Kim for helping us understand the layers beneath this story. You've shown us that Haliburton's journey, from Olympic benchwarmer to finals hero, from overrated to record-breaking, isn't just about basketball. It's about resilience, authenticity, and the courage to succeed on your own terms. This episode was brought to you by Unselfish, where we explore the human stories behind the headlines that matter most. Today, we've seen how Tyrese Haliburton's conundrum reflects our broader struggle with success that doesn't look like success. With heroes who limp away instead of flexing for cameras. From being voted most overrated to making historic clutch shots, from Olympic snubs to finals heroics. Haliburton's story reminds us that the most authentic journeys are rarely the prettiest ones. When that video showed him limping away from his press conference, it didn't diminish his heroics, it made them more real. Because true greatness isn't about being superhuman. It's about being courageously, authentically human. Even when the world expects you to be something else. The families who understand that different kinds of success require different kinds of recognition are the ones who will raise the next generation of authentic leaders. Progress without humanity isn't progress at all. Sometimes the most important victories are the ones that leave you limping, not because you're weak, but because you gave everything you had.